Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a little bit of a different video. Now for those of you that have obviously been following the channel now, you'll know that earlier on today actually, if you've missed it, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. There is quite a lot of spoilers coming right now. But yeah, if you missed it, the final episode of Season 1 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory Career Mode has now gone live. So what I wanted to do is sort of have a little bit of a look through the stats from Season 1, from what I gather, on YouTube, I think I am the first person, obviously, to have completed a full season of Career Mode, so I sort of wanted to have a look through, have a look at anything, see if there was anything interesting from this season. So, obviously, on the whole, you can see 0 Drivers' Championships, no real surprise there, 0 Constructors, again, no real surprise, 34 points on the board, or no race wins, no pole positions, 1 podium finish, which obviously came at the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously, that was a very, very crazy race. A lot of people have had very, very crazy races around Monaco. But yeah, that certainly was one that worked out well for us. An average finishing position of P13. An average qualifying position, well, an average grid position even, of P16. Obviously, means we rarely made it into Q2. No fastest laps. 582 laps driven, which obviously over a 21 race calendar is about 27, I think, 27 average a race, I think, but I might be a bit out there. 2,096 miles driven, and obviously only 1 team joined. So overall, that, yeah, very, very interesting in my personal opinion, but there are certainly quite a few other interesting facts that we need to look at over the course of this season. Sebastian Vettel, I think, is going to be the first one that we're going to have a look at. He only finished off the podium 3 times over the course of the season, and all 3 of those times he got 4th place. He was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we'll have a look through in just a second, I'm pretty certain he was the only driver to finish every race of the season. So he took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins of the 21 races, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 second places, 1, 2 third places, and then obviously 3 fourth places there. Dropped of a maximum 525 points. He only dropped 101 points there, which was obviously absolutely phenomenal. He was able to score 142 more than Valtteri Bottas there, so almost scored 33% more points than Valtteri there. I think, I've just had a look actually, Nico Hülkenberg as well made it to the end of every race of the season, as well as Carlos Sainz there. So Renault, with 100% reliability there, made it right through to the very end of every race. Trying to look through further down the order. Brendan Hartley also made it to the end of every race, and then obviously that was the only sort of 4 drivers that actually survived to the end of every race, which I thought was quite surprising on the whole. Throughout the entirety of this season, we did not get a single safety car. Now, I know safety cars have been quite rare for other people as well, but I know pretty much everyone has had at least one. Yeah, we went through the entirety of Season 1 without 1 safety car whatsoever. We've had, I think, sort of 7 or 8 virtual safety cars, but yeah, not a single actual sort of full-blown safety car there, so I'm not too sure what you guys want to make of that, but certainly, yeah, quite surprising on the whole that, as I said, just nothing in terms of safety cars. I said it was quite rare, but I wasn't quite expecting it to be that impossible to get a safety car overall there. Valtteri Bottas obviously did beat his teammate Lewis Hamilton, who I think actually in terms of raw percentage were the 2 closest drivers in terms of overall performance. The 2 actual drivers, points-wise, was actually Pierre Gasly and Brendan Hartley, but obviously with those 2 scoring less than 10 points, and both Mercedes drivers scoring 270 or more. Percentage-wise, the Mercedes were actually very, very close there. I think Kimi Räikkönen was probably the furthest off his teammate and raw sort of data there. As you can see, he was, well, what's that, 168 points off his teammate by the end of the season there, which is obviously very, very unfortunate for him. If I'm not mistaken, obviously excluding myself because of human error, Daniel Ricciardo actually retired the most over the course of the season, having car failures 3 times in the final 5 races there. I'm sure he was very, very disappointed with that. But he did take 1 race victory, which was more than his teammate could do, which was obviously back at the Singapore Grand Prix. Overall, though, having a look further down the order, obviously Nico Hülkenberg did not get a podium. Very, very realistic in that sense. And if I'm not mistaken, apart from my shock podium at Monaco, the only other sort of shock podium further down the order was actually Kevin Magnussen, obviously coming at that Monaco Grand Prix as well, where he was able to win that race. Obviously, a very, very crazy race on the whole there. So if I'm not mistaken, 8 drivers, therefore, were able to get podiums over the course of the season there. Both Ferraris, both Mercedes, both Red Bulls, Magnussen and myself, which is obviously very, very interesting on the whole. Further down the order, though, haven't tried to have a look at sort of other interesting facts. Every driver, by the end of the season, did actually score points. Lance had a miracle result in Abu Dhabi after quite a few of the top runners had issues there, which meant that, yeah, every single driver scored points, which I don't think has actually ever happened in a real-life F1 season there as well, which is obviously very, very interesting. In terms of trophies, as you can see, we finished P3 at Monaco, but obviously apart from that, quite a rough season on the whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points hauls, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been 6 even there. 5 or 6. Well, I'll count again, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 points hauls over the course of the season there. 5 DNFs, obviously coming at Baku, Canada, Hungary, Singapore, and Mexico City. So all fairly sort of spaced out over the course of the season. In terms of sort of best performances, I'd say we sort of spiked in the middle of the season. Obviously, apart from, if you exclude race 1 at Australia, where the AI was probably a bit lower than it should have been, and Monaco, which was obviously quite a miracle race. The middle half of the season, you know, where we were still getting upgrades on the car, was probably the strongest, where we scored 3 points hauls over the space of 6 races there. So very, very happy with that. An 8th at Hockenheim, a 7th in Monza, and then obviously a 10th at Spielberg. But even then, when you look apart from that, 11th at Belgium, as well as 12th at France. Obviously quite good results there. And then obviously only 1 point haul in the final third of the season. They're coming at Russia. In terms, though, of, if I'm not mistaken, the drivers, as you can see, sorry, the vehicle performance, the game still thinks Mercedes is the best car. I do think engine is way, way overpowered in terms of actual raw performance. So I would take that with a pinch of salt. The Ferraris have been clear cut above the rest pretty much over the entirety of the season there. And when you look at us, obviously we've got a few upgrades going on the car ready for next season. We were by far the weakest in terms of the engine, in terms of the chassis even. We were by far the weakest in terms of the aero as well. And then we were, you know, still third best overall in the engine department. But as I said, you've got to take that with a pinch of salt as we move into Season 2. In terms then, as you can see on the performance graph, Ferrari, Mercedes pretty much stayed level throughout the first half of the season. Then according to the game, Mercedes sort of were ahead, but I don't really believe that. Red Bull were very, very close by sort of the midway stage of the season, and were, you know, they've definitely closed up, I think, on the whole, to Ferrari and Mercedes overall. Then you got Renault that pretty much stayed as fourth best over pretty much the entirety of the season there. McLaren very, very close as well. As you can see, just a couple of other teams there. Haas as well as Force India, all very, very tightly bunched there. And then you sort of move down to the lower order. You can see we've got Toro Rosso, Sauber, and ourselves. You can see we actually moved all the way up to... We were actually ahead of Force India there for one race temporarily as we moved into Singapore. But then you could just see, after Singapore, we obviously completely plateaued out to, by the end of the season, the worst car. Once again, they're behind Toro Rosso and Sauber there. Toro Rosso actually, I think, have made the worst sort of performance increase over the entirety of the season. They are pretty much the worst car now, obviously just behind Sauber and just ahead of us as we move into Season 2. Yeah, overall, you know, a lot of teams making very, very similar progress. Season 2 will really, really be looking to try and sort of solidify ourselves in the mid-pack overall there as well. But yeah, apart from that, nothing too much more that I think we can really talk about there. Ferrari dominated the constructors as well as the drivers there, ahead of Mercedes and Red Bull. Renault did manage to come through in P4, obviously after that, with the 100% reliability record over the entirety of the season. Force India in 5th, Haas in 6th, McLaren in 7th, myself in no man's land in P8, with Sauber and Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso finishing last overall. That was quite a shock result for those guys there. But yeah, we were actually tied with Romain Grosjean by the end of the season. Van Dorn and Leclerc also tied right by the very end there. And I think, yeah, Fernando Alonso scoring way, way more points than his teammate there by the end of the season. In terms then of anything else that we can sort of really talk about, I think we only saw one disqualification over the entirety of the season, and that was actually Fernando Alonso at the Japanese Grand Prix for parking in a dangerous location there, which I'm not too sure what we think about that. But yeah, there we are then, guys. That has been Season 1 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory. Season 2 should hopefully be starting tomorrow, and also got a couple of other sort of different interesting things, as well as hopefully, if this video goes out when I'm hoping for it to, there will actually be a live stream F1 Open Lobbies on Xbox One coming out later on this evening as well. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you all as well for the insane amount of support overall on the series. I think overall Season 1 has gained 250,000 views, which to me is absolutely phenomenal, especially for a channel with just 9,000 subscribers. So, as I said, I can only thank you guys enough for that. Obviously, it's you guys that are bringing in all those views, and yeah, as I said, a huge, huge thank you to you guys as well. We managed to just about maintain daily episodes all the way throughout the entirety of this season. Obviously, we started with 3 triple uploads, then we dropped it down to doubles, then obviously down to singles, where I was away at the Belgian Grand Prix there. So quite happy with overall how that has gone there. And yeah, as I said, the support was absolutely phenomenal on the whole. But yeah, that has been Season 1 then. As I said, Season 2 will be starting off tomorrow there, where we really hope to try and make a bit of a championship charge through the running there. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for the Australian Grand Prix.